Hello, I'm Janet Morena, Executive Director of Priest for Life. Welcome to our program. Well, there's been a lot in the news lately, as you know, about chemical abortion. Of course, the Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry want to call it a medical abortion. But you know what, brothers and sisters? The word medical, like medicine, is supposed to be good for us. But a medical abortion, which is really a chemical abortion, not only destroys the child, the baby, but it also has extreme problems, both physical and psychologically for the mother, too. And we know that by testimonies of people who have had these chemical abortions. Well, joining me today is a dear friend of mine in our ministries. His name is Chris Slattery, and he's the founder and director of EMC, which stands for Expectant Mother Care. And we're going to take a really deep dive today into this abortion pill and how it came into our country and what's behind it all. So, Chris, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Janet. Great to be back with you.
Yeah,
looking forward to seeing you a number of times in the coming month.
That's right. Well, you know, Chris, I can remember back in the day, okay, I was at a talk of Dr. Bernard Nathanson's, and his topic, this was in 1994, and the topic was, are you 486? Okay. Of course, he ended up not speaking about that at that it was an HLI conference. He ended up talking about his own conversion, that he was on the brink of believing in God and converting. He was already converted from being the founder of the abortion industry to being pro-life, but now his whole heart was stirring to say, I think I'm going to believe in God now. So he never spoke at that juncture about RU 486, but then he did further in that year give other talks. So Dr. Nathanson was warning us in 1994 that the abortion pill would be the choice of the abortion industry, and we had to better get ready for that, right? And oh my goodness, like here we are now, and it's like running rampant. But maybe if we had listened better back in 94, we would have been better prepared. What do you think?
Well, I remember demonstrating against the pill when it first came out in the year 2000 in New York City. Right. We actually demonstrated it at the French embassy. And why was that? The pills were originally designed and sold in France, although there was a big ruckus, and the French people did not want the abortion pill. But then the French government just ordered it. You know, they're definitely less democratic than we are, right. But not by much. And right. The pills came from France, right. And the man behind the abortion pills in the U.S. Was Lawrence Lader. Lawrence Lader was a close colleague and cooperator with Dr. Nathanson, who you just mentioned.
That's right.
Was Dr. Nathanson's godfather into the Catholic Church, and was a close friend of his in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, 90s, until his death. And I was there for his first Mass, communion, confirmation, all in one service in the Crypt Chapel at St. Patrick's Cathedral. But he had, by the late 70s, he had disassociated with Lawrence Lader. If you watch the Roe v. Wade movie, John Voight stars in it. It's a good film. It's a good history film. And it does talk about, and it does show the close cooperation of Lawrence Lader and Nathanson in actually paving the way for Roe v. Wade. And also for the legalization in 1970 of abortion in New York State. But yes, there was a controversy from the beginning. But what we didn't know back in 2000, and we still don't know, is where are they manufacturing the U.S. abortion pills? And we believe, we've heard rumors for years, decades actually, that it was in a Westchester County facility we've never been able to find. But what we were just able to find through court records were the names of the hedge fund managers, the financiers, the brainchild trust of hedge fund gurus put together by Lawrence Lader in 99 and 2000, who funded the manufacture and distribution, and probably also pressured behind the scenes the FDA for that fast and dirty approval in 2000. So if people go to our website, emcfrontline.org, it'll be up on the screen later. This website documents out of court records through legal battles between the parties, where discovery made the disclosure of all these parties public. It was all hidden through shell companies, offshore companies, a lot of Delaware-based companies, shell companies. Nobody knew in the pro-life movement these last 23 years until now. Who were the names behind the abortion pills? And these are not household names, and I'm not going to bore you with all of their names and all the shell company names that you never heard of. You can find it in the document. This is ripe for investigative journalism. We triple-checked the names and pictures that we posted. We did not interview any of these individuals. They could be interviewed. They could be buttoned down and off at their office buildings or their homes. It's not too difficult for a good investigative reporter like James O'Keefe to find these people. And, today is a momentous day. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court is going to decide the next steps on the future of abortion pills in the United States.
Right.
2 court cases, one that's originated in the Amarillo Circuit Court in federal. And then a week ago, we had a decision by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. A panel ruled basically that the FDA must scale back to its earlier approval, where the statute of limitations are still grounded, and cut back pills, no more telecare, no more abortion pills without doctor's approval.
Right.
Restrict the weeks between 5 to 7 weeks for their use. No mail order. Most likely no physician and no pharmacy distribution, because they're not clinics. They don't have doctors to meet with women in the clinics. They're not licensed to practice normal in these pharmacies. They're just pharmacies. They have a special license. Right. Have you noticed they never do medicine in pharmacies? They do shots and give away drugs.
That's it. So Chris, so people understand the case in Amarillo, Texas came to light because they look back at how fast-tracked RU46 was done in 2000 to get it on the shelves here in America, so doctors could prescribe it, abortion clinics could dispense it, and so they're questioning that whole process. And so, we're waiting, as we said, for this decision. But the sad thing is, Chris, the abortion industry has already said, if we take away this first drug that the women take, which actually starves the unborn child, they're going to still do chemical abortion, because they're just going to, they won't have that drug. They're only going to give the second drug, which induces labor. And the second drug, they're not going to take off the market because it's used in other ways other than abortion. It's a drug that's used for other purposes.
That would be extremely dangerous of them to do so, to just promote methotrexate. And we are, if you go to the New York Times today, and I'm sorry, I got to the point where this year I had to subscribe to the digital version of the New York Times, because they are doing important investigative research. They did a study on the international sale and distribution by mail order from overseas of abortion pills. They estimate there were 100,000 abortion pills being sold illegally into the U.S. from overseas suppliers. They actually interviewed the manufacturers overseas. They interviewed people who were acting as agents and resellers in the U.S. There are nonprofit organizations specializing in this, putting abortion-determined women in touch with sellers of off-label, legal approval abortion pills. So the other side is going to do workarounds. It's not going to be perfect.
Exactly.
It's not going to be perfect, but Pro-lifers, remember this. Abortion pills are the primary abortion method in the United States now.
Exactly.
The vast majority, not vast, but the simple majority of abortions are carried out. New
Yeah, well,
York
Chris,
State,
they're
not.
saying now at least 60% of abortions in America are done chemically with the pills, not surgically any longer. And part of the reason to go away from surgical abortion to chemical is several. Number one, it's cheaper to do a chemical abortion than surgical. Number two, as you know, they're having a harder time to keep up and getting doctors willing to work in an abortion clinic, mill, to do an abortion. So to them, uh, chemical abortion is like a cash cow for them. It's no expense to the clinic, really. They give the woman the pills and takes one in the clinic, goes home and takes the other one, and they have zero responsibility. We also are hearing through our Silent No More network in Rachel's Vineyard, the women are more traumatized. They're coming for healing quicker. And many of them are suffering very extreme medical complications, and when they call the abortion clinic that gave them the pills, you know what they tell them? Go to the emergency room and just say to them, you're
You're
having a
having a
miscarriage,
miscarriage. Yeah.
having a miscarriage.
They tell them
Because
the
so they're
lie.
trying to cover up the statistics of that these pills are causing damage to women by telling them,
Exactly.
just say, oh, you don't want to say that you were taking the pills. No, just say you're having a miscarriage. It's deplorable. It really is, Chris, isn't it?
Well, one of the things that the pro-life movement is responding to, I mean, we have had some good responses from the pro-life movement and advances in nurse-provided webcam telecare, where nurses are increasingly reaching out to abortion pill determined women on the internet. And we're going to be launching this in late May through Compass Care out of Rochester, New York. We start training again nurses on May 1st. If the abortion pills are limited to 5 to 7 weeks, that's going to reduce the window of abortion pill use in half, requiring shutting down telecare approvals will also cut back abortion pill use probably by 25%.
Yeah.
Requiring doctors' visits, again, reduces the availability of the pills, probably shutting down the whole Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid fiasco of an expansion of 15,000 new locations to give out abortion pills. That will probably be shut down. So we, although we have a big threat, I believe the courts are going to give us a big advantage and cut back significantly on abortion pills. More sophisticated people who are willing to take risks with their health and their lives by ordering overseas from India, etc. Again, check out today's New York Times. If you watch this on a replay, that's the Wednesday, April 19th, New York Times abortion pill story. You can again find our masterminds of death, the story on the originators, the manufacturers, the financiers, the masterminds of the abortion by death by pill people on emcfrontline.org. Ripe for more investigative journalism. Let's get to the doorsteps of these abortion funders. Let's not let them off the hook. I'm not saying we have massive demonstrations at their places and harass them or harm them in any way. But look, they're going after the U.S. Supreme Court members and their households, their kids' schools. They're harassing our side. They're going after our government, national, congressional officials in restaurants. They're harassing our people. And worse, they're going after pregnancy centers with firebombing, attacks, vandalism, break-ins, death threats. The FBI has sided with the pro-aborts for sure. They've slow-walked these investigations. They've played patsy with our investigations at the FBI of hundreds of pregnancy centers and churches, attacked over the last couple of years. You can go to catholicvote.org and find a great list of the centers and locations and dates of church attacks and pregnancy center attacks. All I'm saying is this is a whole new chapter of the battle of life. This battle in the coming weeks and months is going to get intense. I don't know if it's going to get as violent as it did in the summer of 22, in May and June after the leak on the Dobbs case.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But we will see soon, tonight, what's going to happen short term on abortion pills. This is Wednesday, April 19th. If you watch this on replay, you'll see it in the news already. But you won't have heard about the masterminds of death. You won't have had links to who these people were. You won't know the background. We need to know our history. Right. We don't have a lot of investigative journalists in this pro-life movement. It's mostly stories reacting to other stories, not a lot of original research. We've got to do a lot more. Thank God for this pro-life organization that filed suit 16 or 17 years ago against the FDA. This FDA stalled and delayed this lawsuit for 6,000 days. 6,000 days they stalled and delayed this lawsuit, putting it out of the range, the Fifth Circuit said, of the statute of limitations for the original 2000 approval. But nevertheless, if we get the Supreme Court to uphold the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals' deep restrictions, that's a big victory, because we'll see a huge cutback in the expansion of abortion pills. We'll see a big drawback from abortion pills. We will have more court battles, but thank God President Trump put in 3 conservative Supreme Court justices that are going to stand up for life. We see more circuit courts and courts of appeals siding with the pro-life movement. Finally, in the last 50, 60 years, we've got a country with a lot of conservative judges where we're winning the court battles. We're winning them. And the other side is petrified. Their response, AOC, just ignore the law. The hell with the law. The hell with the U.S. Supreme Court.
Right.
I mean, what are they? I mean, they just basically, these individuals who literally swore to uphold the United States Constitution are seditionists.
Right.
They're seditionists. They don't believe in the Constitution. They want to overthrow the U.S. Constitution.
Exactly.
They're the Chris, seditionists. They should be in jail.
That's right. Well, Chris, thank you for this enlightening discussion and basically sounding the alarm. And we'll be sure to get everyone to that website to get that document. They can read it. So thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure, Janet. God bless you.
Okay, God bless. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you for joining us. And I have here a copy of the article Chris was talking about. It's called Merchants of Death. And you can go to his special website, emcfrontline.org. It will be there as a link. I encourage you to download this article, read it, and spread this truth about how this all got started, and also to spread the news about how harmful these medical abortions are. They're chemical abortions, they're not medical, and it's really the RU486. And no matter what the court decides, the abortion industry is still going to try to market this out there. So you have to be the voices to warn women that this is going to kill their baby, but it also is harmful to them. So remember, brothers and sisters, there are some abortions only you will be able to stop, and some lives only you will be able to save. Join us again next time. Thank you, and God bless.